Alright, we're going to talk about Guardian and Cash in particular. Guardian doesn't have a whole lot of card draw, but you can get some pretty interesting combos with Cash in, depending on what they get for copper, silver, and gold resources. But one such combo, we're going to talk about the Vicious Crippling Crush. Now, card number one is going to be Crippling Crush in your hand. Card number 2 and 3 are going to be ideally blue pitch cards, and this is what a seismic token that you set up the previous turn beforehand. Card number 4 is going to be Cash in. Now you're going to want to cheat that out with whether it's copper, silver, gold, or whatnot. Now, in addition, let's see, Crippling Crush with Pummel. For example, red 1. That's +4 to your attack action, and it adds a discard effect. Now, ideally, you're going to want Pummel either in your arsenal, just in case you draw into a double red pitch, or you draw into Pummel plus yellow or higher pitch value. But you can definitely force through some damage that way. But there's various other attacks. I mean, you got Disable, which puts cards from the arsenal when dealt 4 or more. You got Mangle, who destroys target equipment with a minus counter on it. You can do that. All those cards I mentioned with Pommel. You got Spinal Crush. They lose action. Action cards, activated abilities, and attacks they control lose and can't gain go again. Oh, that's gonna hurt against a ninja player, that's for sure. You got Buckle and Blow for putting minus counters on equipment, and depending on what kind of equipment, you can actually destroy them, because if you, let's say Temper, for example, fairly certain, let's see, let me look up, yeah, Temper is the one. If it has 0 or less shields, it gets destroyed. Cards with Temper. But anyway, there's also Cartilage Crush, which is very good for taxing the resources. For as long as you deal 4 or more, their next first action during the next turn costs additional. Choke Slam is good for buffing 1-up decks. Board, for example. Cranial Crush, any deck that draws cards, and this can be used against you in the mirror match, for example. Crush the Weak. Now, this says they can't play attack action cards with 3 or less base. Now, base means what it is before buffs. So they have to play stuff with 4 or higher. Some decks like to buff them so they can get on-hit effects, not with Crush the Weak active. Debilitate, -2 their attack, and that can definitely come in handy. Disable again in the blue slot. Well, you got Last Ditch Effort. Guardian likes to stall it out and making it an 8 attack for free cost, not bad. Anyway, that's all your on-hit attacks that I'm looking up from the New Zealand 4th place deck. Pummel, I mean, I'm going to tell you, cashing can definitely help. Now, Crater Fist is in this list, and ideally, you could do it with 5, but that's all in. Resource hand intensive, but ideally, you want attacks with 3 or 4, so that you can realistically do it. I would have to say 90 or 80% of the time. Maybe you might get unlucky with a bunch of red cards, but Creative Fist can definitely force through stuff like Mangle. Got we don't want Spinal Crush. There's stuff like Buckle and Blow, Cartilage Crush. I can see that being very good, or even Choke Slam. Crush the Weak comes to mind. Debilitate. Yeah, those are your most likely targets. With Creative Fist, seeing as how it costs free. So, but anyway, let's go talk about Ranger and the various ways they like to tax your resources. Now, let's talk about the drawing aspect of Ranger. You got access to Free of Kind, which draws free cards, but not only that, let's talk about also cashing in conjunction with it. Just imagine 5 cards plus a 4. Well, you're going down 2, so altogether you're looking at 7 cards to work with on a single turn, especially with those cards I was flashing with the music on. I'm like, rapid fire, red in the ledger, give it rapid fire, doing multiple attacks per turn. I mean, you got knock the death whistle to find the perfect tutor. You can use endless arrows in conjunction with rapid fire plus poison tips. Whew. There's quite a bit you can do in a single turn in conjunction with Free of a Kind and cash in. But anyway, let's have a look. You got Death Dealer, which is good for putting cards in your arsenal to keep your combo going, your rapid fire rounds going. That's not bad. But also, I also have access to pretty good defense reaction that also have reload built in. So you can set up, I mean, the red one, defense for 4, so that's the ideal number right there. You got access to silver tips. If you have no cards in your arsenal, look at the top one. You may put an air card among them face up in your arsenal. That's a good in conjunction with Whispers of the Oracle and whatnot. Combine that. But you also have access to the check aim lanes, red, yellow, and blue pitch values. They have reload for making that combo turn go off. Nice and but also there's a lot of ways you can stall out the opponent. I mean, there's also hamstring shot. During their turn, they cost an additional red. That's a good way to tax the opponent's resources. Not bad at all, not bad. But also, there is another bow, but it doesn't draw you a card. It's called Redliner, but it doesn't cost you any pitch resources. So it really depends on what you really want. Redliner, it seems like it's a rather interesting one. Costs 0, so it could, depending on the right build, Redliner might be more powerful than Death Dealer. Sure, the Death Dealer is like every turn draw, provided you swap, but those are things you gotta consider. But not only that, they also have access to Perch Grappler. Destroy Perch Grappler. Then turn face up arrow cards played from Arsenal again, go again. So you also don't need access to Rapid Fire. You can have Perch Grappler provided you can fulfill that condition well enough. Also, Poison the Tips. The card that discards for each hero that hits. It also has reload. Another trick I do like that they have is called Feign Death. And this is good if you've been dealt damage this turn. Now, I'm like, Ideally, this is going to be good against Ninja because they like to chain it up, but also this is also going to be good against Wizard because this also prevents we dealt damage to turn, prevent it. It's good for that finishing blow, but you also have access to Pathing Helix, but it has to hit. But you can definitely set up your hand to be able to do that and whatnot. And also, another interesting card is Increase the Tension. And next arrow attack this turn gains +3 if it's the red, and defense reaction cards can't be played from the hand. There's Chain Link. If you combine this in conjunction with access to Poison the Tips, you're going to limit their options, and the more hits they take, the more they're going to have to discard out of their hand. So that's definitely a factor as well. I also like the fact that they have access to Sleep Dart, which in certain matchups that can come in handy. If hits, they lose all hero card effects and activated abilities until the end of their next turn. Until the end? Dang. That's not to like about that. But, I mean, there is a lot of ways you can play Ranger. Hopefully they get a bit more stuff. I mean, you also have access to endless arrows, and that can be very good because if it hits, put it in your hand in conjunction with the various amount of reloads in this deck, that can be a powerful turn. But what I'm hoping out of Monarch, more controlling elements, more taxing resources for it. That'll definitely help him out. But anyway, look forward to part 4. We're going to be handling the unique classes, whether it's Mechanologist and Wizard, as I wrap up this series.